All right. All praise, all glory, all honor, all thanks goes directly to the Most High first and foremost. Also, shalom, shalom to my people out there who are taking the time to listen up at this moment. Once again, I'm one of the children of the Most High. And right now, I want us to deal with the Messiah's love and loyalty to nation building. That's right. I want us to deal with the love and loyalty that our Messiah, Yahushua, being his true Israelite name, Hamashiach, being his true Israelite title as our Messiah. I want to deal with the love and loyalty that he has shown to our people. Now, when I say our people, I'm speaking of his people, us, the true people of Yisrael, the Israelites, those of us who are being called Negroes today, the members of our diaspora. In fact, I not only want to show that the Messiah has laid out a perfect example as to how we are to show love and loyalty to one another through his ministry, but I specifically also want to show how even our heavenly Abba, our heavenly Father, the Almighty Yahuwah, has actually laid out a blueprint as to how our people are to show love and loyalty to him as being our creator, but also how we were told to show love and loyalty to one another through the words that the Most High gave unto our people through our ancestors. We need to be very clear on this. So let's get started. In fact, we can go directly to the book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy, chapter 32. And when you get there, you're going to see that there's a song of Moshe. And in the song of Moshe, Moshe declares that Yahuwah's portion is his people. That's right, his chosen people. It goes on to say that Yaakov, our people, our nation, is the lot of the Most High's inheritance, and that the Most High found us in a desert, in a wilderness, and that he led us about and he instructed us and he kept us as the apple of his eye. Now, if you're not familiar with the apple of his eye, that means we are cherished above all others. And it's important for us to note this because this is not the only place where you will find that we are declared to be the apple of the Most High's eye. In fact, you can go to another one of our ancestors. You can go into the prophet known as Zechariah, and you'll see in chapter 2 there that Zechariah, our ancestor, was in the company of two angels, two messengers of the Most High. And in fact, one of the messengers comes to Zechariah and speaks about our people and says, "For thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye." So this messenger was making it very clear that the Most High was sending him to do a work to deal with the other nations that had come across our people and who have spoiled us, who have dealt wrongly with us, who have taken that which was ours. See, these other nations that have dealt with us wrongly as the people of the Most High, they are going to receive judgment from the Most High because of that. And so we've got to be very clear. The Most High has marked out and shown loyalty to us as his people, as he holds us as his most cherished treasure. Now, we can even find more when we want to answer this question, where is the loyalty? In fact, we can find that it is written throughout the prophets, as I already showed you through our prophet Zechariah, and also even with the prophet Moshe. You're going to find that this specific loyalty is throughout passages. We can even go into another one of our ancestors who was known by the name of Oshe. If you go into chapter 2 of his book, you will see that it says, "And I will betroth thee unto me forever." Yeah. The Most High spoke and said he will betroth us, our people, unto him forever. Now you got to understand, he is making a promise of marriage to our people. He's making a promise that he will become one with our people forever. It does not get any more loyal than that. In fact, he goes on within this passage to say how he's going to betroth us unto him in righteousness and loving kindness, and that he is also going to betroth us unto him in faithfulness, and that we are going to know Yahuwah. That's right, we are going to know the eternal one, the self-existent one, our almighty creator. He made this promised to us as a people. This is loyalty, because see, he put these words in writing. This was not something that was just said and unrecorded. It was actually put in writing. In fact, if we want to talk about it being recorded, note also within that passage in verse 21 that he is also going to make the heavens and the earth a part of this process. Now, if you're familiar with the role that the heavens and the earth play, they are the two witnesses that the Most High had actually called as witnesses against us when he established his covenant with our people at the Mount Sinai. In fact, you're going to find that in the book of Psalms chapter 50 verse 5, he's calling those same two witnesses to witness the event when he comes to judge us again as his people. So these witnesses always stay very close by to the Most High, but he has them there recording for a purpose, because he stays faithful to every single word he has put out to our people. It's extremely important for us to be aware of this. In fact, you can go into the book of Devarim, chapter 4, and there you're going to find that Moshe was speaking to our people as the Most High had given him the unction to do so. And he said, "For what nation is there so great?" So we're dealing with the nation here, the nation of our people, Yisrael. And he says, "Who hath our mighty one," or our Elohim, "so nigh unto them." That's right, we are so close to our mighty one, the Most High Yahuwah. And then he goes on to say, Yahuwah, our Elohim, or our mighty one, is in all things that we call upon him for. See, that is the relationship, the favor, the loyalty that the Most High has to our people. He is in everything that our people call upon him for. We just have to return to the covenant and understand this position that he gave us. Now, we can even go and find that this love and loyalty that the Most High shows is written within Moshe and the prophets through and through, as I've already been showing. But we're going to go back into Devarim chapter 7, just so we can get another clear shot of what this loyalty looks like. In fact, the Most High declares through the words of Moshe in that passage, "For thou art a holy people unto Yahuwah, thy mighty one. Yahuwah, thy mighty one, has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth." Once again, as you remember, I said the apple of his eye means that we are cherished above all others. That is being echoed again in this passage through Moshe, where the Most High made it clear through the words of Moshe that we are above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Now, I know people sometimes take issue with this or find it very hard to swallow or to accept or to even understand that the Most High would choose a nation of people, a specific bloodline of people, and place them above all others. But that's exactly what's written right here in the passage, and the other passage that I showed as well. Now, if we go further into that passage, you're going to find that it says that the Most High did not set his love upon us, or he did not choose us because we were some great and mighty nation, because we were not. We indeed were one of the fewest of all nations. We were a very small nation. But the Most High loved our people, and he was also keeping the oath that he had sworn to our fathers. So this is loyalty. He was keeping an oath that he had sworn to our fathers, Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob, also known as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In fact, you can go into another one of our ancestors' writings, the prophet Yeshayahu, chapter 41, and you're going to find that it says, "But thou, Yisrael," speaking to our people, "art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend." Now, remember, he's being loyal to the oath of our father Abraham, Yishak and Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he is speaking to his loyalty to our father Abraham, who he considered to be his friend. So the Most High is being loyal to the word that he gave to our father Abraham in the way that a friend is to be loyal to a friend. This is very deep. We have to understand this. This is loyalty at its finest. In fact, the Most High goes on and continues to say, "Thou art my servant," speaking to our people. And he says, "I have chosen thee and not cast thee away." You see, time and time again, you're going to find that the Most High makes it very clear that he has chosen us, a specific nation of people, Yisrael, and that he has not cast us away. So see, once again, that loyalty is there, despite the fact that we have not been faithful, we have not been loyal, we have not been truthful to the covenant that the Most High gave us. We've committed all types of abominations, all types of wickedness, all types of lawlessness. but the Most High has still been loyal to our people, and he has not cast us away. This is all within the text, within this book known as the Bible. Let's keep it going. In fact, let's understand that we're also going to find that this loyalty is written within the very laws that were given to our people, Yisrael. So that means the laws that our Almighty One, the Most High, gave us when he established his covenant with our people are riddled with loyalty. It's extremely important for us to know this. The Most High is loyal to us. Of course, he's going to write it into the works, the very things that he has put in place for our people to live by. But in order for us to understand that, first we need to step back for a second and go to the book of Shemot, or Exodus chapter 4. In verse 22, you're going to find that the Most High gives us a specific position. In fact, this was before we were delivered out of Egypt. He told Moshe to go into Egypt and to speak to Pharaoh and to say to Pharaoh, "Thus saith Yahuwah, Yisrael is my son, even my firstborn." So the Most High, the Almighty Creator, declared that us, the people of Yisrael, are considered to be his firstborn son. Now, this is a very important statement that many people overlook. But if you know this information, you will not overlook it anymore. Because, see, there's a special position that comes with being the firstborn of the Most High. In fact, you're going to find in the book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 17, that whenever we had a firstborn that was born amongst us, according to our law, and specifically the firstborn of a male, it had to be a male firstborn, that firstborn male actually had the right of the firstborn, where he was actually able to have a double portion. He was entitled to a double portion of the inheritance of his father. Now, you've got to understand, us of Yisrael being the firstborn son of the Most High, have the right of the firstborn. So we have been given this position because the Most High has made us heirs of his kingdom, his heavenly kingdom. In fact, that's why you're going to find that in the book of Revelation chapter 22, where they speak of the kingdom of the Most High, the kingdom of heaven, that it has gates around it. Now, this is the kingdom that is going to be established here on earth, by the way. It has gates, and those 12 gates each have a name which is marked out for each of the 12 tribes of Yisrael. So we are the heirs of the kingdom according to us being the firstborn son of the Most High. Now, with that being said, I want us to understand that you're going to find this throughout the laws of our people. But before we go to the next law, which is connected to the firstborn, I want us to go to a passage found in YAHUAH chapter 43. And you're going to find there that it says, the words of the Most High through our prophet. "But now thus saith Yahuwah, that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Yisrael, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine." So, stop for a second. Let's note what's being said in this passage through the prophet. The Most High is making it clear that, one, he's calling our people, our nation, and he's saying, "I have redeemed thee." Now, if you're not familiar with redeeming means, that means to be brought back or to be purchased out of bondage. Now, we're going to come back to that in just a second. But note that right after that, he says he has called us by our name, and he has also claimed us and said that we are his. Now, if we go to this next passage, this next law found in the book of Shemot, or Exodus chapter 13, you're going to find that the Most High placed a law amongst our people in which we were to set apart or to declare holy anything that opened up the matrix of its mom as the firstborn. So the firstborn of its mother, anything that was male, was considered to be Yahuah's. That's right. It was set apart as holy unto the Most High. Now, we already read that we were set apart or holy to the Most High in the book of Devarim, chapter 7. But now you're seeing it again within our laws as a people. So you got to see that connection, that the Most High, when he claimed us through the words of the prophet in YAHUAH chapter 43, he was also making that connection to our law. Now, you got to understand, we hold a dual role with the Most High. We are not only seen as his firstborn son, but we are also declared to be the sheep of the Most High. So we have to understand that in this context where it said anything that is male of the firstborn should be declared unto the Most High, set apart as his. Now, if we also go further into this law found in Shemot chapter 13, we go into verse 13 of that passage, you're going to find that anything that was firstborn among the men of our children, we were to redeem. So that meant if we had the firstborn that was a male go into bondage or slavery under a foreign nation, we were to redeem or to buy back our firstborn. That was just part of our law. And in fact, this was nation building at its best. Let me explain what I mean by that. If as the firstborn male, you are entitled to a double portion of your father's inheritance, and you actually then ended up in bondage while you were the firstborn, that meant all that was your father's inheritance that went to you would go to this foreign nation. So in order for us to keep this inheritance within our people, we had to go and buy back that of our brethren that was actually sold into slavery. We had to bring our firstborn brother back to our nation of Yisrael as a freed man, so that when he received his inheritance stayed within our nation, amongst our people. Now, our people can learn from this today, because if you know anything about the economics of our people today, you will know that we do not keep our wealth and our resources amongst our people. In fact, our resources and our wealth go directly outside of our people to foreign nations constantly. In fact, our wealth and our resources don't stay within our household. Our wealth and our resources don't even stay within our communities. Our wealth and our resources do not stay within our nation. This is a big issue amongst our people today. But it's simply because we have not been living in accordance to the principles and the laws that the Most High gave us to live by. If we knew who we were and how we were to live, we would be doing this. But many of us are just waking up to the fact that we are the people who need to be living by this truth. This is the law that was given to us by the Most High himself. This is nation building at its very best. Now, let's go into the fact that there is also this theme of liberation for our nation building. As I just showed in this law of the firstborn, remember, we are to buy back that of our firstborn that went into bondage, because this concept of liberation, being free, is important to our concept of nation building. You cannot build up your nation in bondage. You have to come out of bondage. So it is important that we are not under the beck and call or the reach or the oppression of another nation as a people. Because if we are under the oppression of another nation, we can only do what we can do within the scope of what that other nation allows us to do. So liberation is extremely important for our people. And so this is why the Most High has constantly sent deliverers to liberate us from the many oppressions and captivities our people have been under. So with that in mind, let's go into the book of Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 12. And there you're going to find that from the very beginning, when the Most High spoke to our father Abraham, he made a promise. He said that he was going to make of Abraham a great nation. So yes, I hope you see nation building is at the forefront here. He said that he is going to make a great nation, and that he was going to favor our father Abraham, and he was going to make his name great. So we've got to understand this. This is actually nation building at the core of it all. Now, if we go further into this information, we're going to find that there is another law known as the kinsman redeemer law. And you'll find that in the book of Vayikra, or Leviticus chapter 25. And according to this law that was given to our people of Yisrael, if there was a sojourner or a stranger that became rich amongst our people, so this was somebody who was a non-Israelite, but they were sojourning with us, so they were in our land amongst us, and they became wealthy. If we had one of our brethren who actually was an Israelite, who fell poor and actually sold himself to this foreigner who was rich in our land, then once our brother was sold, he could be redeemed again. Yes, he could be redeemed by one of our people, one of his brethren, one of the other Israelites, one of his kinsmen who was close to him. So this was what the kinsman redeemer law was about. It actually placed within our law the fact that one of our brethren, one of the family, the closest of kinsmen to this person who had sold themselves into bondage under a foreign person, could be brought back by their kinsmen. Now, those of us who were zealous for the law would actually see to it that this was done, because we understood that there was a purpose behind this law and we wanted to keep it. So we would go and buy back our fellow Israelite who was currently in bondage. This kept our nation free. This theme of liberation is definitely here. Now, with that being said, you can even find this played out in the life of our Messiah and in the words of our Messiah. If you go to the book of John chapter 8, you're going to find that Yahushua was speaking to our people, and he said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is enslaved to sin," or is a slave to sin. See, the slave does not remain in the house forever, but the son remains forever. So if the son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Now, if you see what's being said there, the Messiah himself is making it clear that our people who were actually practicing sin had fallen into bondage to sin. In fact, that's what estranged us or made us foreign to the law of the Most High, because we were breaking the laws and we were doing things that were not included within the ways that the Most High gave us to live by. So as we became in bondage to sin, we became in slavery to sin. And because of that, the Son, the Messiah, was sent to set us free from that as our kinsman redeemer. He is one of our brethren. He was born to Yisrael for that reason, to fulfill this kinship redeemer law through his very ministry. Very important for us to see this. He is the redeemer that was sent unto our people. In fact, you can even go to the letter or the epistle that was written to the Corinthians, the church at Corinth, or the synagogue at Corinth. And 1 Corinthians chapter 7, you're going to find that even our ancestor Shaul said the same thing. He knew that this was the point. He said that we, the people of Yisrael, were bought with a price. Do not become bondservants of men. So he's talking about the fact that our kinsman redeemer purchased us out of that slavery that we were in to sin. And so, therefore, we should not go back into being a bondservant. We should not go back into that slavery status that we were in. It's extremely important that we understand this, because when we become bondservants of men, we then become subject to the sins that those men put on us. And that's what was happening. People were living by the ways of man. They were not living in accordance to the laws of the Most High. That's what our people were dealing with. Now, we can go to another important law that deals with the nation building of our people. Go to the law of kings that you'll find in the book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 17. And there you're going to find that the Most High also gave a law to Yisrael, to our people, the Israelites, which said that indeed we could set a king over us whom the Most High Almighty Yahuwah had chosen, but one from among our brothers we were to set as king over us. We could not put a foreigner over us who was not our brother. Now, this is extremely important, because for decades and for centuries, people have argued about this context of whether the Messiah was black or white. But we need to make note, this has never been a skin-deep issue. It was not about being black or white. This is a bloodline issue. So yes, we are aware that Yisrael, the true Israelites, are black people, or I don't even like saying black because black is not a real word, but is a dark-skinned people, a brown people, a people who have descended in connection to our people, specifically our ancestors, are those of us being called today the so-called Negroes. But we've got to understand that it was never about our skin color, because we know that there's a line of people considered to be Hamites that are not our people, but they are dark-skinned as well, and they also have woolly hair as well, but they are not fit to sit on the throne of Yisrael, because they are of a different people. They are of a different bloodline. Now, this is no different than what you see over in England. When you have that family over there that calls themselves a royal family, you cannot just go and sit on the throne there. In order to claim that throne, you would have to have a royal pedigree. You would have to be of their blood lineage. So this is no different when it comes to Yisrael. In order for us to have someone sit on our throne, they would have to be of the king's bloodline. They would have to be connected to Yisrael. They could not be of any other people. It's extremely important to note this. In fact, that's why the Messiah was born unto our people of Yisrael, because he is our king who is to be on the throne forever. And so he fits this qualification because he matches the bloodline regulation. In fact, he came from the specific king tribe that was given the throne, that king tribe of YAHUAH, also called Judah. He is specifically from that seed line, and from the seed line of Dawood, the king who was actually put on the throne of our people, and was said that he was going to hold that throne through his seed line forever. So this has been fulfilled specifically in connection to the seed line and the bloodline that is in the laws of our people. This once again keeps loyalty to our nation, because if we had foreigners ruling over us or sitting on our throne, they would not be loyal to the nation of Yisrael. They would be loyal to their foreign nation. So we also need to note that we can find this law of nation building, or the laws of nation building, also in the context of the law of levirate, which is found in the book of Devarim chapter 25. In fact, when you become familiar with this law, you're going to find that if one of our brothers who dwelled with another one of his brothers had died and had no children, then her husband's brother, the brother-in-law, would then go in to take her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. So what he would do was he would actually raise up seed to his deceased brother by way of the deceased brother's wife, in order that the name of the deceased brother would not be blotted out of our nation, Yisrael. That's right. This is true loyalty to the concept of nation building, because it was not about us as individuals. The brother was not just to think about the fact that he didn't want to marry this woman. He wanted to marry someone else. He would take this woman and actually raise up seed unto his brother in honor of his brother. He would actually even give this first son the name of his deceased brother, because this was the way that we would actually honor our nation collectively. This was nation building at its very best once again. In fact, if you go to the book of Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 38, you're going to find an account where this was actually at play, where one of our patriarchs, YAHUAH, or Judah, the father of the tribe of Judah, specifically said unto his son Onan to go into his brother's wife and marry her, because Onan's brother had died. He told him to raise up seed to thy brother. However, if you go through the rest of this passage, you will find that Onan actually did not raise up seed to his brother as he was supposed to. In fact, he let his seed spill on the ground. And so the Most High became angry with Onan, and he struck him down dead, because he did not fulfill the law of levirate as he was told to. So this tells you just how important this was, and it was enforced by the Most High. So even if you go further into the book of Bereshit, chapter 22, verse 17, you're going to find that the Most High had declared long ago about this raising up seed to our people, to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In fact, he says to Abraham that he is going to show favor unto Abraham, and then multiplying the seed of Abraham will be as numerous as the stars of heaven and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And he said that our seed, the seed of our people, were going to possess the gate of our enemies. It's extremely important for us to understand this, because our seed, as you know, have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth in accordance to the word of the Most High and the prophecies that the Most High had given to our people. So we are within those gates of our enemies. Now, there's a point where we are going to be raised into rulership according to the word of the Most High as well. You can simply go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 20, verses 31 through 37, or you can even go to Joel, the prophet Joel, chapters 3, verse 1 through 6, and you'll see that we are going to be regathered from all these places that our seed has been scattered to. But you can also look at the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 14, and it's going to show how we are going to be in a rulership position, and we are going to possess our enemies. It's extremely important for us to see that this was all prophecy from the very beginning, and the Most High has been loyal to it from the very beginning. Now, if you go to Yeshayahu chapter 65, you're going to find that the Most High once again declares that he will bring forth a seed out of Yaakov, out of our people, and out of YAHUAH, the king tribe that we spoke of, an inheritor of his mountains, and his elect shall inherit it, and his servants shall dwell there. Once again, we are the elect. Yahshua is considered to be the elect of the Most High because he chose us, and we are his servants, so we are going to dwell in his mountain. This is extremely important for us to understand. Once again, loyalty to our people throughout the prophets. Now, we go even further to our apostle, Shaul, in the book, or the letter, I should say, to the Romans in chapter 7. He says, "Wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Hamashiach, that ye should be married to another, even to him who was raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Elohim." Now, I hope you see the connection to the law of Levirate right here, because we now are being married to another, because through the body of Christ, yes, through the death of Christ, and even to his resurrection, we are married to him that was raised from the dead. And so now we are able to bring forth fruit unto our mighty one, unto the Most High Father, our heavenly Abba, which is what the law of Levirate was all about, raising up seed unto your father's household, but showing that loyalty unto your brethren while doing that, not allowing a name to be blotted out of Israel, not allowing a name of our brethren to be blotted out of our nation of Yahshua. It's extremely important to keep track of this, people. This is throughout all of the writings. Now, if you also understand that there is a law known as the law of Yahuah's release that was given to us by the Almighty Yah. In the book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 15, you're going to find that at the end of every 7 years, we were required as a people to make a release. In fact, this release dealt with debt. So if any of our fellow Israelite brothers owed us anything, if they were in debt to us, at the end of 7 years, we would release that debt. Yes, we would totally forgive our brethren of that debt that was owed to us. Whatever they were unable to pay was no longer an instance or an issue. We would no longer raise that up as a matter. It was released completely. Now, if you understand that that was only when it came to our brethren, the fellow Israelites. When it came to foreign nations or foreigners that lived amongst us that owed us debt, or any foreign nation that owed us debt, we did not have to release that debt. We could actually hold them accountable for it for as long as it took for them to pay that debt off. So you see, the loyalty was really to our brethren. It was that we were not going to have our brethren continue to owe us something at the end of that 7 years. This deals with the concept of forgiveness. In fact, this is the same forgiveness that you see in the book of Yahuwah chapter 6, where it says, "After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." So you see the connection here. This shows you very clearly that this was about forgiveness, this law of Yahuah's release. It was showing us to forgive our brethren if debt was owed. We did not have to have them pay every last cent, every last penny of the debt that they owed us. At the end of 7 years, forgive it. And so this is extremely important, which is why you actually hear even the Messiah say, when he was asked how many times we should forgive our brothers, he said 70 times 7. Now keep that number 7 in mind, because we're going to come back to it. But just for further proof about this forgiveness, we should understand that even our apostle Shaul wrote, when he wrote to the Colossians, or the synagogue that the Colossians were at, in chapter 2, it says, "By canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands, this he set aside, nailing it to the cross." See, the debt that our people were under, the Messiah had forgiven. He set the example for us, and he did it by dying for us, by buying us, by buying out that debt, by actually purchasing us back with his blood. And so, in that way, our debt was completely wiped out. We were forgiven. We had that sin released. And so therefore that debt that was connected to us was totally forgiven and released and done away with. Now, if you just remember what I said about this number 7, it's extremely important for us to know that this number 7 plays an important role amongst our people. In fact, if you go into our history, you will find that our people actually have been given 7 covenants by the word of the Most High. We can go back as far as to the Adamic covenant, the covenant made with Adam, also to the covenant with Noah, or even further to the covenant with Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov, and then even to the covenant with our people Yisrael, which was made through Moshe, so the Mosaic covenant, as they call it, and then even the seventh covenant, which actually is the covenant that allows for the forgiveness of our sin as a people, the covenant known as the Davidic covenant, because that is the covenant through which our Messiah was promised to be born unto our people, our Redeemer, the one who was sent for our salvation by the Most High. This is the seventh covenant. So whenever you hear even the phrase 70 times 7, I want you to be clear that this was put in place by the Most High himself, because this 7 is extremely important. That's why even at the end of a week, on the 7th day, we are to rest and be refreshed, because see, there's a resetting that happens at that point, at the 7th. That is actually the completion for our people. And so debt and everything is released at that point, and we start afresh. So just note that this is so deep within our laws, and there's always this connection between our laws and the way that our Messiah conducted himself and lived and carried out his ministry. Now, I want us to also note this, that if we look at the ministry, we're going to see a very, very good example that we can actually hold to heart. If you go to the book of YAHUAH chapter 20, you're going to find that a mother of 2 of the disciples who were brethren, right, had come to the Messiah and asked him that he put one of her sons at his right hand and the other son at his left hand when the kingdom of Yisrael was to be restored. Now, when the other 10 disciples heard about this, they became angry towards those 2 brethren. In fact, when the Messiah Yahushua saw this, he actually called all the disciples to him. So he called the 12 to him, and he said, "You know that the princes of the Gentiles, or the other nations, exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them." So what he's saying here is, you know that in the other nations, the people who are in position, or the rulers, they exercise power and authority over their people. However, he says to us, "It shall not be so among you." So he's telling us, the Israelites, our people, the disciples who were all Israelites, he tells them, this is not the way you are to conduct yourselves. He says, "But whoever will be great among you, let him be your minister." That's right, let him do some work for you. "And whoever shall be chief among you, let him be your servant." That's right, let this person actually serve you if they want to be a chief among our people. Let them serve our people. Let them give ministry to our people. In fact, he goes on to say, even as the Son of Man himself came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. You see this? Yahushua was telling our people that first, if we want to be great, then we should be giving service to our nation. And then he goes on to say that he set an example for that. He came not to be serviced or to be, ministered to, but he came to minister to our people. And that's why he gave his life to our nation of people. This is extremely, extremely clear. Now, you want to understand, this was connected directly to one of our laws related to rulership in Yisrael. In fact, you're going to find that amongst our people, the Most High gave us a law that said this, that if there were bondsmen and bondsmaids which were to be held amongst our people, they were to be taken of the heathen around us. That meant they were to be taken of the other nations. In fact, we were told that we could take these bondsmen and these bondservants, and we would keep them as possessions forever. We could even take the children of these bondsmen and these bondsmaids, and they would be kept as our possessions forever. This was definitely doable and permitted by our law. However, when it came to our brethren, fellow Israelites, those who were children of Yisrael, we were not to rule over one another with that type of rigor. So once again, you see the loyalty is very clear to our nation. This was about our nation building. We could not put one another in bondage, because if we did that, we would be destroying our very nation. this will be actually the destruction of our people. And so we are not to roll over one another with this type of rigor or this type of domineering. That was not what the Most High wanted us to do as a people. He wanted us to serve one another, because that is indeed nation building. If we serve our nation, if we build up our nation, then we become that great nation the Most High has promised that we would become. So we have responsibility here. Now, let's see it further in the ministry of our Messiah. In fact, you'll find that Yahushua was actually on ministry with the disciples, and he was actually in the area of Tyre and Sidon when a Canaanite woman, a non-Israelite, approached him and called out to him saying, "Have mercy on me, thou son of Dawood." Now notice, she called our Messiah by his actual tribe line, his seed line, because of course he came from the seed line of Dawood. He actually came from that specific seed line, and she knew this about him, although she was a non-Israelite. So this just shows you how important and prevalent the seed line of our people was. We knew to identify ourselves in that way at that time. And so because we have lost our sense of nationality and we have been discontinued from our heritage, many of us do not realize just how important this concept of nation, this concept of nationality is to us as a people. But other people know this. In fact, as you go further into this passage, you're going to find that our Messiah, Yahushua, did not respond to this woman, although she was crying out to him for help because her daughter was actually vexed or possessed by a devil. In fact, he did not answer a word, to the point where his disciples had to come to him and beg him to send the woman away because she kept crying after them. Now at this point, Yahushua then turned to the disciples and said, "I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Yisrael." So right there, the Most High has his only begotten Son speak these words and have them recorded, that he let us know his priority was to come only to his people of Yisrael. This is the mission that the Most High sent our Messiah on. He was sent to deal with our people, the nation unto which he was born. Now, with that being said, that did not stop the Canaanite woman from coming after him. In fact, she continued to cry after him and ask for his help. Now then, at this point, Yahushua, our Messiah, turns to the Canaanite woman and says, "It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs." Now stop for a second. You see very clearly, the Messiah just pointed out that he did not feel it was fitting for him, the bread of life that was sent unto us, to turn himself and give of his works to these other nations who he considered to be the dogs. Now, very clearly, he set a status here. He set up his loyalty and said it was to our people, to the children of Yisrael. But then he also set up a hierarchy and said that he was not here for those who were beneath us, who were considered to be the other nations, the dogs. Now this goes right back to what we spoke earlier, found in the book of Devarim, chapter 7, verse 6, where we were to be set above all other nations. See, the Messiah knew that. Now, in fact, this Canaanite woman also knew that, because her response was, "Truth, master, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table." See, she understood the position that she held as a non-Israelite, and she actually respected that. So, in the end, the Messiah did see her faith and take note of it, and he actually cast that devil out of her daughter for that reason. So this is extremely, extremely clear through the ministry of the Messiah. But you know what? We can make it even clearer by going to see the account of what happened with the Roman centurion that is outlined in the book of Lucas, chapter 7. Now, when you get there, you're going to see that Yahushua was out on ministry once again. And as he had just finished speaking to an audience of our people, he then turned and entered into Capernaum. Now, Capernaum is an area that had many of our people living within it. In fact, when you translate the name Capernaum, it means village of Nahum. Now, Nahum was one of our prophets. So this village was named after one of our prophets. Now, this Roman centurion happened to be in this vicinity. In fact, you're going to find that one of this Roman centurion's servants was sick to the point where he was about to die. And so, when this Roman centurion heard that Yahushua was actually in the area, he sent some of the elders of our people to go and beseech or to beg that the Messiah, Yahushua, come and heal this servant. Now, Notice, when the elders of our people came to Yahushua and they begged our Messiah to turn and do this favor, they had to give a good reason for it. In fact, they said that, look, this Roman centurion is worthy for this to be done for him. And the reason is because he loves our nation. He loves the Israelites. And he has built us a synagogue. So, let's stop here. This was the reason why they felt he was worthy, because he actually had shown love to our nation. He had done a favor for our people by building us a synagogue, the very place where our people would meet on the Shabbat and actually teach and learn about the laws of Moshe. They would build together there. So this man, this Roman centurion, a non-Israelite, did this favor for our people. Now, of course, Yahushua the Messiah then returned the favor and did heal this man's servant. Now, you got to understand, this goes back as far as to the promise that was given to our fathers. In fact, you'll see in Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 27, that this was also passed down through the lineage of our people by our forefathers, where it was said that, let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. We also were told to become rulers over our brethren and to let our mother's sons bow down to us. So specifically, those of other nations were to bow down to us as a people, as the people that came through the line of Yaakov, because this is the blessing that Yishak or Isaac gave to his son Yaakov. And in fact, it goes on to say, cursed be everyone that curses you, and favored be he that favors you, or blessed be he that blesses you. Note this. This is very important because this is exactly what was taking place in this situation with the Roman centurion. Because he had done favors for us, then a favor was done for him by the Messiah. In fact, you'll see that the Messiah spoke just on this type of topic in Matthew chapter 25, where he was speaking of a parable to our people, and he said that the king would answer and say unto people, verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. So very clearly, this connection of whatever you have done to our nation, to our people, to our brethren, you then are going to be held accountable for. So if you have done good unto us, then you will have some good returned unto you. But if you have done wrong to us, as was pointed out even in our prophet Zechariah chapter 2 verse 8, then you are going to receive judgment for that, because we are the apple of the eye of the Most High. This is extremely, extremely clear throughout. So hopefully this has been helpful information to you. Hopefully you will be able to see the connections that were laid out here. And hopefully you will also join me again for part 2 of this series, where we're going to deal with the love and mercy that is found by way of the Most High and the Son, our Messiah, Yahushua. So understand that if you need to leave any comments or concerns or feedback, please feel free to do that. Just make sure that we do it with the same love and loyalty to our nation that the Most High has commanded us to live by as his people, and the example that was set by our Messiah, Yahushua. We should be dealing with one another with that same love and loyalty. So if you are putting any correction out there, make sure you do it in the spirit of love that the Most High told us to live by. All right? Shalom, shalom, my people.